Hello and welcome to our lesson on Robert Koch, the great German scientist and father of bacteriology. Now, last lesson we left it at the work of Louis Pasteur, whose germ theory in 1861 first theorised the correct causal link between microbes and disease. So his germ theory said that germs and bacteria cause disease. However, this did not affect treatment in any way. So Koch was important in developing Pasteur's work further. The next step after germ theory was to identify the microbes that caused specific diseases, because from that you could then introduce specific treatments. So Koch was the great rival of Pasteur. France and Germany at this time were at war in the Franco-Prussian War of 1870 to 1871, and this rivalry and tension spurred the two on to investigate further. Now, Pasteur had kind of got the scoop on Koch by getting out his germ theory in 1861. However, it is Koch who develops this further. His most important work is identifying the specific germs that cause a specific disease. He did this via developing a system of growing bacteria using agar jelly in petri dishes and using industrial dyes in order to stain the bacteria so that you could identify them. That led to some big breakthroughs. For example, he discovered the bacteria that caused TB in 1882. What was so important about Koch's work is that it allowed scientists and doctors to treat the microbe that caused the disease as opposed to treating the symptom of the disease, as had previously happened over the past X number of centuries. And now I'd like you to use the information published on Show My Homework to complete the 3 tasks on this slide. Now, although the work of Pasteur and Koch was incredibly important, there were some in the medical community who did not support it. And I'd like you now to investigate some of the individuals back in Britain who either supported or promoted the work of Pasteur and Koch. Use the information on Show My Homework to complete this table. Now, of course, Robert Koch promoted germ theory. What did he do? He is the one who developed germ theory further by identifying the specific microbe which caused a specific disease. Joseph Lister also promoted germ theory. He was incredibly important in the development of antiseptic and aseptic surgery. So he was using germ theory to help the problem of infection within surgeries. Dr. Henry Bastian, however, limited germ theory. He was a vocal critic of germ theory and used his considerable power as one of the most powerful doctors in the country to promote spontaneous generation instead. John Tyndall was a physicist who discovered that there were some small organic particles in the air. He linked his work to the work of Pasteur and Lister's work on wound infection, and he theorised that these dust particles he was finding carried the germs that caused disease. However, because Tyndall was a physicist and not a doctor, he wasn't really listened to within the medical community in Britain. And finally, the British government limited germ theory. They did not support it. Koch travelled to Calcutta, which is in India, which of course was part of the British Empire back then, in 1884, to study an outbreak of cholera, and he proved that cholera was caused by microbes in the drinking water. However, the British government ignored his findings and kept the idea that the disease was present in the soil and the miasma was brought out by the tropical weather of India. It seemed to make sense because there was most cholera around during the rainy season. So, how great an impact did germ theory have in Britain? Well, although in the short term it had its critics, by 1870 it had been largely accepted in Britain, and it had been used by other scientists such as Lister to improve medicine greatly. It had an enormous impact because for the first time they really understood the cause of disease. If you'd like to consolidate your knowledge on the work of Pasteur and Koch, complete the knowledge organiser. And if you would like to have a go at some exam practice, take a look at this question. Louis Pasteur's publication of the germ theory was the biggest turning point in medicine in the period 1700 to 1900. Now this is one of the big 16-mark questions, so your structuring is here.